In the spring of 1775, Massachusetts was simmering with tension. The battles at Lexington and Concord had just been fought, and Boston was under siege. British troops held the city, but colonial militia surrounded it from the countryside. Amid this standoff, both sides needed supplies, especially livestock and hay, to feed their soldiers and horses. Much of that forage sat on the islands of Boston Harbor. Among those islands was Noddle's Island, a stretch of land in the harbor that today lies beneath Logan International Airport. Back then, it was farmland dotted with barns, haystacks, and grazing animals. The Massachusetts Provincial Congress, watching the British gather provisions from these islands, acted quickly. On May 14, 1775, its Committee of Safety ordered all livestock to be removed from Noddle's, Hog, and other nearby Boston Harbor islands. They wanted to deny the British access to fresh food and ensure those supplies didn't strengthen the enemy cause. But putting that plan into action wasn't easy. The task required manpower, coordination, and courage. The British still controlled the harbor with their ships, and any movement on the islands could draw fire from the Royal Navy at any time. By late May, however, the Patriots decided to move. The mission: drive off the cattle, burn the hay, and destroy anything the British could use. On May 27th, an American force of roughly 600 men, mostly from Massachusetts and New Hampshire, crossed from Chelsea onto Hog Island, the island closest to Noddle's. They were led by Colonels John Stark and John Nixon, both seasoned officers already gaining reputations for their grit and leadership. That morning, Patriots began rounding up livestock, cutting loose animals, and setting fire to barns and haystacks. Smoke curled into the sky, visible all the way across the harbor in Boston. British commanders saw the flames. Alarms spread quickly through their ranks. To them, the burning island was a direct act of defiance against King George's forces. Admiral Samuel Graves, commanding the Royal Navy in Boston, ordered a swift response. He dispatched the schooner HMS Diana, along with several barges filled with Royal Marines, to stop the raid. As the British approached, the colonial troops retreated from Hog Island toward Noddle's, luring their pursuers into the narrow waterways and salt marshes. The terrain there was treacherous, shallow channels, muddy flats, and shifting tides, perfect for men who knew the land, but perilous for those who didn't. By nightfall, the skirmish had escalated into a running fight across the marshes. Musket fire flashed in the darkness, and echoes rolled across the harbor. Colonial forces fired from behind haystacks, fences, and thickets, while British Marines advanced under heavy cannon fire from the Diana's guns offshore. The engagement lasted late into the night. The Diana maneuvered to cut off the rebel escape, but the tide had other ideas. Sometime near dawn, the ship ran aground at the Winnisimmett Ferryways near present-day Chelsea Creek. The Diana was stuck fast in the mud. Sensing opportunity, the Patriots moved in. Reinforcements led by General Israel Putnam and Dr. Joseph Warren, yes, the same Warren who would die weeks later at Bunker Hill, joined the fight. Cannon fire from the mainland, directed by Captain Samuel Foster's artillery, raked the British vessel. The schooner's guns couldn't angle high enough to return effective fire. After a futile attempt to refloat the ship, the British crew abandoned the Diana, retreating to their barges under a hail of musket fire. The Provincials quickly boarded the grounded schooner, stripping it of cannons, ammunition, and supplies. Then, they set it ablaze. As dawn brightened over the harbor, the Diana burned to her waterline. Thick smoke rose into the morning sky, a clear sign of Patriot victory. Even more remarkably, the Americans suffered almost no serious casualties, only 3 men wounded. British losses, however, were significant. Against overwhelming naval power, the colonial militia had managed to capture and destroy a Royal Navy warship. It was a morale-boosting first for the young revolutionary forces. The engagement proved that the ragtag militias of New England could coordinate, fight effectively, and even outsmart the world's most powerful navy. Historians now recognize this skirmish as the Battle of Noddle's Island, also called the Battle of Chelsea Creek, or Battle of Hog Island. It was the second major action of the American Revolution. And though it's often overshadowed by Lexington, Concord, and Bunker Hill, this small fight carried real strategic weight. It taught American commanders how to use marshy ground and local geography to neutralize British naval strengths, a lesson that shaped tactics throughout the Siege of Boston. It also validated the idea of intercolonial cooperation. Troops from Massachusetts and New Hampshire worked together, foreshadowing the unified effort that would later become the Continental Army. Today, Noddle's Island is no longer an island. It's the ground beneath Logan Airport, crossed by jets instead of soldiers. But under that modern landscape lies the memory of a bold skirmish, one that helped light the path to American independence. The burned wreck of the HMS Diana became both a symbol and a warning, proof that the colonies could stand up to the Crown's might, even on the sea.